You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
We're back. It's Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We're broadcasting live from the Concierge Landscape Studios. Right now it's time for a message from the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. The MHA Minute is brought to you by Pest Control Services. When you need an exterminator, you want someone reliable and effective. Give Greg Keener a call at Pest Control Services, 952-894-9748. I always call Greg. He's a proud member of Angie's List and a member of the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. That's Pest Control Services, 952-894-9748. Tell Greg that Gene and Tony sent you.
Some of the benefits of successful property management. Are you ready? On-time payment of rent, improved resident quality, stabilized income, reduced turnover, controlled expenses, improved financial performance, less property wear and tear, allowance for property improvements, enhanced property value, being proactive, not reactive, better relationships with neighbors, fewer police calls, creating a community, being a great neighbor. These are some of the benefits of good property management. And whether you run a townhome association or you are renting out your condo, duplex, or 100-plus unit building, membership with the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association gives you the tools you need to run your business effectively while minimizing the headaches. Don't be a good landlord, be a great one. Visit www.mmha.com. That's two M's, mmha.com.
Today we've been speaking to Rob Keena from Helmuth and Johnson about insurance claims. Rob, you've been telling us about deadlines that we have to be careful of. You also have been talking about the insurance appraisal. Would you tell us more about that and why it's important?
Well, the word appraisal is interesting because typically if I say we need to do an appraisal, and I'm referring to an insurance loss, the person I'm speaking to, if they're not involved in the industry, will say to themselves, that must mean a real estate appraisal where you appraise the value of a property. But in fact, appraisal in insurance law is something totally different. It's this unfortunate circumstance where they use the same word to describe two separate things. An appraisal is what's called an ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution Form. And you have a choice in Minnesota. You can sue people. You can take mediation. That's ADR. You can do an arbitration. That's ADR. Or if the parties are subject to an arbitration agreement, that is. But in insurance, if there's a disagreement regarding the value of the loss, you can ask the insurer or demand from the insurer this process called an appraisal. And that is only if the insurer has already agreed that there's coverage.
With the appraisal process itself here, some people have been caught up in. Well, I'll give you an example here. We had an association a few years ago caught in a dispute with there was not an agreement on what they thought the scope was to be covered in the insurance claim. They thought more needed to be done. Specifically, we're talking about siding.
Right.
But they were told that was not a matter for the appraisal process because it's not a matter of disputing scope, only actual cost.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that when I've encountered insurance companies that are fighting me, and I'm in a big battle right now with one of the insurers on this topic, but when I encounter insurance companies that are battling me on appraisal, their central argument is that there's not a dispute regarding the value of the loss, Rob Keena. There's a dispute regarding what is covered, because an appraisal is a valuation of a covered loss. So if I say it's not going to cost $500,000 to repair my burnt down house, it's going to cost $1 million to repair my burnt down house, the insurance company will say, we agree that there is coverage, but we disagree regarding the value of the loss. So we go into this process, this appraisal process, which is rather complex. I can explain it.
Yeah, we're going to be coming up to a hard break here. We've got probably just about a minute left. But tell us, this process, it is two words that have been used, arbitration and mediation. This is more of an arbitration matter.
It's like right? Arbitration, because what mediation is a negotiation. I want $2. The mediator tells the other guy, I want $2. He offers $4, and that's just back and forth. Arbitration is present evidence to a panel and ask the panel to make a decision. That's the same as appraisal.
Yeah, and so in that case, then the appraisal process is like arbitration in that it's binding. That is the last I guess,
word.
The last word on this
subject. It sets
right?
the value of the loss. Even if you end up in a lawsuit over coverage, the value of the loss theoretically is set by the appraisal panel's decision.
Okay. Well, we've got a lot more to cover about the appraisal process and the frustration that people have in the ins and outs of an insurance claim. And we've got a lot more questions to ask. Don't go away. We've got another hour with Rob Kina, but we'll take a break. We'll be back after these messages.